Just a pilot in his cockpit seated. Black leather on his ass, keep a hustler heated.
Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. So today's the day we're going to be taking the car over to Peitz Performance to have the build done. Oh, just realized I forgot something. Okay, so the thing I forgot were these race bullet mufflers that I picked up from Amazon. So these are the same ones that my wife has on her car. Huh. Let me just give you a quick comparison with one of those next to the stock muffler. So there you go. There's the stock muffler and that's the race bullet. Makes me almost want to just put the stock muffler back on it because it's obviously pretty straight through and it quiets it down a whole bunch. And you'll see right now why I want it quieted down, but we'll just put these on for now, and then if I don't like it, then we'll switch it back out. This is going to be the final cold start with this setup on the car. Next time it'll have a cam, built motor, all kinds of stuff. Maybe a 426, we'll see. It's one of the things I want to talk about. Okay, so we're just arriving here at Peitz Performance. So one of the things I wanted to talk to Alex about was possibly going 426. We had discussed it, and it kind of went over pros and cons, and I was like, yeah, it doesn't really sound all that great to me. But everybody seems to think 426 is a good idea, and since I didn't really care, I guess I'll revisit it and see what he thinks, and maybe it is a better idea. Maybe it's cooler to have a 426 than a 392, but we'll see. Got my cash here. This is another deposit, $6,000. Fun. All right, so we're just gonna be getting our stuff out of here. All right. So one thing I hate taking my car somewhere and just not having it for a while. It just sucks. I'm sure all of you guys can relate. And that's one of the things with the 426 is they have them in stock now. The 392 would have to be built, so the 426 would actually mean that I would get my car back sooner, and that was one of the drawbacks. So it's not, anyone who thinks I'm just following what everybody on the channel says, it's not the case. I would kind of rather have the car back sooner, but I like just the idea of going 392 just seemed like what we were going to do, but we'll see. Anything else I'm forgetting? Don't forget these Skittles. Eat these on the way home. Yep. That's no problem. Look at that. I wonder how much power this thing makes. Looks sick. What are the pros and cons of going 426?
The 426, obviously, with more cubic inches.
Bigger, yeah.
It's bigger. You have a higher displacement of air, or potential higher displacement of air. The thing about a 426, though, is you're going to lose some piston speed because of that stroke. That can potentially lead to not as good a performance at higher RPM. It kind of depends on what you're doing with the vehicle, right? If you're looking more for low-end grunt, stoplight to stoplight performance, you want as much efficiency down low as possible, and this stroker is a good way to go. The only thing about it is with a Pro Charger,
it's a higher RPM.
Yeah, it's more high RPM driven. However, I've had plenty of 426 vehicles with Pro Chargers, and I mean they still run really good. There's not like a downfall per se, other than if you're looking for more top end performance, it's going to be better suited with a smaller cubic inch.
Is it too late to just tell them to do 426? Is it? No,
I actually told them to hold off until I talked to you.
Yeah, okay. Sure. Let's do 426 then. I guess it's if there's not like any particular downsides, and they have them, they can build them, they can get it out quicker.
Yeah, so they have a couple sitting in their hallway right now. The ones that they have available are going to be, depending on what gasket you run, are going to be mid-10s for compression, like 10.6 to, well, with a thicker gasket, you'd be at probably 10.3, 10.4 to 1 compression. With a thinner gasket, you'd be closer to like 10.7 to 1, 10.8 to 1 compression. So, which isn't necessarily bad. I actually kind of prefer a little bit higher compression just because it's, you don't run as much boost with it, but they seem to just run better. They have a little bit better part throttle response, but you just can't run as much time and you can't run as much boost. But with a 6-rib setup, you are kind of limited to how much boost you can run anyways.
Yeah. So, well, I would probably think that I would go with a different setup, like I don't know, an 8-rib or a cog one if they have one.
Eventually, yeah. Or is yours dedicated drive? I can't remember. No. Okay.
It runs off of the pulleys.
Okay, yeah. So, as of right now, I mean, that's, especially with, depending on what camshaft you run too, you can get away with higher static compression because different cams are going to lower the dynamic compression because of the overlap, right?
Okay,
and also
at lower PMs, okay.
Yeah, and also, depending on the cam and the valve vents in the cam, if you retard the intake valve closing, the later you close the intake valve, because basically your piston's already traveling up on the compression stroke, if you close your intake valve later, it's going to bleed off a little bit of cylinder pressure. So even though you have a higher static compression ratio, your dynamic compression ratio is going to be lower than that.
Okay,
right?
so I guess like my goal is like eventually like 1,000 horsepower. Is it what would easily get me there better?
More cubic inches is definitely better in that regard, as long as you have the cylinder heads to flow it.
It's all gonna have to be.
Eventually, you might want to swap out to a larger head unit. At that point, you're gonna, it's going to flow so much air. The 426, there's not going to be necessarily a downfall there. And it is a quicker turnaround time too, because they do have it available. So pretty much, I could contact them, after Thanksgiving, and
they could send it out probably in the next few days.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that way you have less downtime.
Yeah, no, I definitely like less downtime. So that seems like a huge, a good one. The higher compression, as long as you don't think it's going to be an issue.
No, I'm going to run a 40,000 gasket. But the thing is, you also have to think about is quench. So quench is basically the distance from the top of the piston to the deck of the block plus your gasket thickness. So those are, I want to say, 10 thousandths in the hole. So meaning the top of the piston is 10 thousandths of an inch from the deck of the block. Which is not bad. That's pretty common. It's either going to be 5, 10, or 15. So the lower you go on in the hole, the less quench you have, or more quench you have. Excuse me. So basically, you add the amount in the hole or the deck height plus the gasket thickness.
Okay.
So if it's 10 thousandths in the hole plus 40 thousandths gasket thickness, that's 50 thousandths quench. So what we could do is go like a 35 thousandths, because you don't want to be over 45 thousandths quench. 40 to 45 thousandths is like ideal for the best combustion. Now, if you go tighter on quench, the problem with that is it's more volatile, right? And it changes some things in the combustion chamber. Okay. So really, if we go 40 thousandths, that should be okay, especially on a boosted. That would give us a little bit more leeway on the tune, especially if you're going to be running pump gas.
Yeah.
So you go, if it's 10 thousandths in the hole, 40 thousandths on a gasket, that's going to lower the compression just a little more, and it's going to give us a little more area in the quench. So it'd probably be pretty good. And then we can kind of design the can around that too.
Okay.
So, it should be good.
All right.
The only other thing that I know about the 426 is some of them will make a little more noise. In terms of, not like noise that you'll hear, but the NOx sensors pick up on some of that noise.
Yeah, that sucks.
So that sometimes is a...
So it's harder to tell if it's destroying itself, I guess, or you have to probably tone it down, I assume.
The problem is sometimes you have to be a little more less sensitive on the NOx sensors. Yeah. But I've tuned a lot of them, so it's not like it's a huge deal.
You can.
It's pretty common, but yeah, you have to work around it a little bit. But
okay.
I'm not going to go crazy on spark advance, especially with pump gas.
Yeah.
And now the fuel system, you said you have the drop-in 450.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So as long as we're not going too crazy on boost right now.
Well, we were going to put the Force Innovations. Remember that?
That's right. Yeah.
Dual pump.
That's
system.
right. That's right. We talked about that deal last time.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a lot more.
No, I know.
Oh yeah, we'll be money.
So we're putting the
Yeah.
dual pump system in.
That's right, because you got the deposit for the engine, and then we're
Yeah. As a matter of fact, here's that.
Yeah, no problem.
That's 6,000.
Alright, cool.
So let me think what else might be.
Yeah, because we got the fuel system covered, and you've already got 1,000cc injectors, and we're doing pump gas right now. And then you got the blower. We're putting a different pulley on it, right? We're gonna go a little higher on boost.
As high as you can go. Maybe get one of those textured pulleys and
Right.
and see what it'll do.
So I talked about.
I don't know how.
What was the company you said you talked to?
I can't remember the name. I'll email it to you.
Yes, please. Because I'm gonna get all that stuff ordered. ASAP.
Yeah, since it's the timeline's a lot better now.
Standard procedure for them.
As far as the ability to hold power, I know the 4026. I imagine they're pretty similar, other than the different crank.
Yeah, so it's a manly crank, manly rods, and wide-scope pistons. Like I said, it's going to be mid-tens. The ones that they usually have available are the ones that are you can go lower compression or higher compression depending on gasket things.
Oh, you can just play with it yourself to just minor adjustments.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't remember. It might have a slight dish on the piston. I can't remember. But you see some pistons for negative 15cc dish, some are -7. I'll have to get the exact specs on the dish on the piston, but it's not going to be a problem. I mean, we're going to have plenty of piston valve clearance and things like that because, depending on how you design the cam. So,
okay.
And unless you're going to be doing a lot of launching at the track, half shafts are a good idea. But, we can always do that later.
Does it break anything if the half shafts go? I've never heard of them breaking. It just can't drive the car, obviously.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Unless it jacks up the diff, but that shouldn't really happen.
Yeah, you have the diff brace on there too, so it should stop it from, I guess, moving.
Yeah, it'll help with a little bit of a deflection on the differential, so it definitely will help there.
Okay.
For sure. You have trailing arms on the car already? No. So the BMR trailing arms they're relatively inexpensive. They're I want to say $150, something like that. If that's something you're interested in.
What are they?
Well, the trailing arms are. I don't know if you're familiar with how that suspension is in the rear, but basically, the stock ones are pretty weak. I've seen them bow basically in the center before. So
on launch.
Yeah. So the trailing arms help you with wheel hop. Helps minimize wheel hop. And which can also cause other problems if you get wheel hop.
Oh yeah. Wheel hop will break everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wheel hop. Okay, so let's do trailing arms then. If that's a good one. And how much are half shafts? I think
the G-Force ones, which have a lifetime warranty, I want to say are $1,600, $1,700.
Yeah, I thought they were a decent price. I just don't know how likely are they to break.
Well, they do. I have seen them break on the non-Hellcat cars more so than Hellcat.
The Hellcat probably has stronger ones.
I believe so. I can't remember off the top of my head, but the Hellcat ones break too. So it's
yeah, it's hard to tell. Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere between $1,500 and $1,700.
Okay, are they hard to install? Probably not, huh?
Not really. No, it's not much labor intensive.
Yeah.
So
should I do it now or should I wait? Is there something better that I should be doing, or different?
Well, I mean, really, you're doing the fuel system upgrades. You're doing things right there. You have the crank rods, pistons. The only other thing you could do while it's apart that you couldn't do later, let's say, is porting of the heads.
And that's something I thought about. How much does it cost to port heads?
About $1,200-$1,300 for a CNC program. If you port
the stock heads.
Yeah, if I bring him my heads, and the program is really nice. They clean up nice. They look good.
So driving a car with ported heads, is it how does it change as far as the drivability?
It doesn't affect drivability at all.
Yeah.
It's just going to help promote airflow.
At the higher RPMs, more so than low?
Yeah.
Typically?
So, I mean, you increase the CFM. So, they usually pick up about between 30 and 40 CFM on the intake. So, that's a considerable gain. The thing about Hemis, though, you're not going to see, if you put ported heads on a naturally aspirated Hemi, you don't see much of a gain in terms of horsepower to the tire. Now,
when they're flowing a bunch of boost, then it matters. Okay.
Well, boost is actually, it makes it not care so much even more. But there's a threshold, right, where you start getting into higher RPM, higher horsepower builds, where the ported heads do come into play.
Okay.
Right. It's just like you may not see a huge benefit from it now, but if you want to make big power later, it's a good idea to.
Since you'll have the car out, I guess you'll have to take the heads off. I guess it makes sense, right?
Yeah. We'll have to have the heads off anyways.
Okay. Let's port the heads. That makes sense.
That's probably a better buy right now
than the shafts, because we can do that.
Yeah.
When they break.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or later. Yeah.
Exactly, because to take the heads off later, it's much more labor intensive.
Oh yeah, because you got to pull half the top end part. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not sure how much of that you guys caught, but we're going to be actually porting the heads and doing a couple other things when I get home. I'll give you a little bit more of an update, but for now I'm going home.
Just a pilot in his cockpit seated. Black leather on his ass, keep a hustler heated. Weed is engaged in the pavement. Rubber escorts like I'm seeking arrangement. Push the gas, escalate the gauges, escalate hits on the cam.